The 2015 critically acclaimed novel Luckiest Girl Alive by Jessica Knoll was a bestseller. The film adaptation was announced in February 2021, with Mila Kunis attached to portray Ani and Knoll to pen the screenplay. The film was released in October 2022, and Kunis has received praise for her performance even if the film itself has seen mixed reviews. The story includes some very tough topics which should make the reader/film watcher uncomfortable, but there are some stark differences between the film and the novel. It is normal to expect changes with the switch from the page to the screen. And since Knoll penned the screenplay, she clearly had creative control over these changes. So what are the things in the movie that you didn't know were changed from the book? Today's video will list down all that, but before anything else, make sure that you subscribe to our channel and you smash that notification bell for more updates on this. Now, let's dive in! The story follows Ani, who seems to have everything going for her. She has a great job in New York, a wealthy and handsome fiancé, and is living the life she always dreamed of. But she has a dark past, and the past not only involves brutal harassment, but also a tragic school shooting at her former prep school. Her perfect life is in jeopardy when a new documentary is being made about the events surrounding the shooting, nearby triggering Ani into confronting her violent past in order to proceed with her bright future. Here's every detail you missed in the latest film adaptation of Luckiest Girl Alive. Mr. Larson and Tiffany's relationship. Ani's relationship with her teacher, Mr. Larson, was very downplayed in the film version. In the book, Tiffany trusted Mr. Larson more than any adult figure in her life. Her life prior to prep school is explored a little more in the book, but it is indicated in both versions that she and her parents had a difficult relationship. When Tiffany is assaulted by her classmate, it is Mr. Larson she turns to, as she does not want to discuss this with her parents. When the two run into each other many years later, they bond over their participation in the documentary, and their mutual attraction is palpable, an attraction that may have always been there. In the film, Mr. Larson is still the person Tiffany turns to, but it doesn't go beyond him helping her report it to the administration. He is fired, consequently, and her mother is infuriated that she could embarrass them. When Ani and Mr. Larson run into each other at dinner many years later, it seems their reunion ends there. It is a small but significant storyline to leave out, as it is clear that young Tiffany was in desperate need of support and Mr. Larson provided that. In the book, their relationship borders on inappropriate when she is young, but when she is older, she is forced to question if her attraction to him is eternal gratitude or actual chemistry. Ani's backstory is missing. In the book, we learn that Ani went to a private school, Mount St. Teresa. It was there with two of her friends that she got in trouble for smoking substances, prompting her transfer to Bradley, a prestigious public school in Philadelphia's Main Line. She made friends with Arthur and the shark there before getting in with the cool crowd, itching her way to popularity before being taken advantage of by a group of boys, spiraling her and her high school experience slowly but surely out of control. Her relationship with her mom and father, both strained in the book, is hardly captured. Her father isn't even a character in the film. The things that contribute to Ani wanting to fit in and change, the attempts she makes at doing so, like her dyeing her dark hair blonde, just aren't there. Ani doesn't write about her experiences in the New York Times in the book. At the end of the movie version of Luckiest Girl Alive, after breaking up with Luke and getting Dean's confession on tape, Ani writes about her experience in high school in the New York Times and connects with other women who reach out to her with stories similar to hers. However, in the book, this doesn't happen. In the book, Ani takes part in the documentary and agrees to meet with Dean. Like in the movie, Dean offers to tell the world of Ani's innocence in the school shooting in exchange for her silence about him assaulting her and apologizes. Ani gets his confession on tape and she goes on to live independently. The documentary and Dean. In the book, the fact that a documentary is being made is a catalyst for a lot that happens. It forces Ani to think back on the traumatic events, reunites her with Mr. Larson, and it also brings out some stark problems in her relationship that she may have not realized before. In the film, the documentary is the main through line. The documentarian, Aaron, has a pretty good sized supporting role and repeatedly asks Ani questions that she doesn't seem ready to answer. Also, in the book, it is quite a surprise surprised to find that Dean is not only alive, but he is wheelchair-bound and wants to talk to her about what happened. In the film, she is quite aware Dean is involved as he has taken the events and made a career out of speaking about them and pushing for gun safety laws. Dean has also come out with statements that he believes that Ani could have conspired with the shooter, trying to provoke her into a conversation. Aaron really wants to film their conversation and Dean's promised apology, but Ani will not agree. The film focuses way more on Dean and the documentary throughout the film, instead of focusing on Ani's journey to her decision to do the film and meet with Dean. Ani didn't write an expose in the book, and she and Luke didn't break up over it. Ani almost marries Luke in the book and splits up with him for a different reason than she does in the movie. In the book, Ani almost married Luke, but just as she is about to go through with it, she finds out Luke got rid of a framed photo of Arthur and his father, which Ani stole in their last interaction before the shooting. After Luke admitted that he broke it during the night out with friends, Ani realized how little he cared about her past and how much he did not accept her. Ani then makes the decision to break up with Luke and live her life independently. In the movie, Ani tells Luke about her article in the New York Times Magazine, exposing Dean and the others. Luke is very against the expose, and in that moment, Ani decides to choose her career and life over the life she could have had with Luke. The ending. The end of the film and the book involves Ani's confrontation with Dean and her pending wedding with Luke. In the film, Ani finally does get her moment with Dean and is able to get him to admit the assault and that he knew she wasn't responsible for the shooting. She records it and in turn decides to write a tell-all piece for the New York Times, thereby exposing Dean's fraud. She becomes another face of the growing movement of survivors of maltreatment. Luke cannot handle the publicity, and she cannot handle him not being able to accept herself and the two part ways. Granted, times have changed a bit since the book was first written, and Noel used the topical subject to bring a more current and possibly more gratifying ending to the story. In the book, she does get the confrontation with Dean and does record the conversation, but as to what she'll use that for is unclear. Maybe she just needed to hear him admit it. Her relationship does end, but she comes to the same realization without the article. So, ultimately, both end with her starting a new chapter, so to speak. In the film, she faces both support from women in similar situations and opposition from those who support Dean and think his voice being taken away in the gun control fight wasn't worth it. Regardless, both endings are valid, and both will provoke many uncomfortable conversations that need to be had. Ani is still triumphant in both endings, but for different reasons, and while she may not be the luckiest girl alive, she emerges changed, ready to give up the idea that creating a perfect life will erase the traumas she endured as a teen. That's all for today. We hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and smash that notification bell for more episodes.